up, guys? Recently, I sat down with my boy Chris from Kane's Legacy and Kane's Insight, and I just got his opinion about what's been going on with Miami. We talked about Miami. We talked about recruiting. We talked about Leonard Taylor, Jason Marshall, Palmetto 5, James Williams. We talked about it all. I'm going to be releasing the videos in a mini-series this week. So, hey, here we go. Enjoy.
A special salute for the truth, Sean Taylor. See, everywhere I go, you know I rep that you. Orange and green from head to toe, that's you.
With the you, do you know what to do? Hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss a video. Today, we got a special edition, a special video. We got my guy, Chris from Kane's Legacy and Kane's Insight. Chris, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. And James Williams commits to Miami. It breaks the internet. First, tell me your instant reaction, because this is one of the first, since I've been putting out content, this is one of the first big commits that nobody knew was coming. So what was your first instant reaction when you first saw the news? And then kind of compare him to a former Miami Hurricane, because I know that's your specialty, and tell us what we're getting in James Williams.
Well, my first reaction, honestly, I was sitting in my basement playing NCAA 14, kind of like rebuilding the Canes that way. Then all of a sudden, a buddy of mine who, runs a Twitter account with me, I get a string of like 8 messages in a row, and my phone just like busy, like buzzing, like one after the other. And I'm like, something happened. And I only get that kind of reaction if it's Miami related, but like never in my wildest dreams would I have expected it to be James Williams to the U, like with all the stars and everything. I never would have thought that. So I was stunned right away. I was stunned for number one. I figured it was a Georgia thing, and as much smoke as there was about, Miami's in it, Miami's still talking to him. It's just like, I saw it with Tyreek Stevenson. I saw it with these other guys that went to Bama a couple years ago, like with Job and Surtain. Tyson Campbell went to Georgia. All these DBs where it's like, oh yeah, he's interested in Miami. He's a Miami kid, but I know he'll pick SEC. And then when it jumped and he made the move and he said he's shutting it down, like he's all Kane, like it was as surprising a moment in Miami recruiting that I can remember. And I'm thinking back to like Willie Williams days. Like it's right up there as far as one of the craziest things I can remember. And as far as a player, it's so hard with him because he's got so many different talents, and he's so unique in terms of his body type. Like you said, it's one of the things that we like to do. But we went through like all these different players, and like I went through every safety that was drafted by Miami for the past couple decades, like back to like 1980. And I was looking at guys, and I'm like, no, he's not big enough. No, he's not fast enough. No, he's not athletic enough. And I couldn't find a guy. So I'm saying to myself, well, what could fit here? And so I went over to the linebackers. And when I went to the linebackers, Darren Smith popped out to me, because Darren Smith was a guy who could cover receivers. He was like a true strong side linebacker who could cover anybody on the field. He could run. He ran like a 4.35 when he came to Miami. He was like 220 or so in weight, and he was like 6'3". He could run. He could hit. He was like that violent kind of linebacker that fit right in with Barrow and Armstead. And I'm like, that honestly, that's how he plays. It's just that we used Darren Smith as a linebacker, but could have used him at safety. Could have did a lot of things with him, which I think is what we're going to eventually see with James Williams. Like 1991, you weren't as creative with your defensive philosophy. You had your 3 linebackers, you had your 2 safeties, and that was it. But in 2020, 30 years later, we'll be doing a lot of stuff with James Williams to like fit him in wherever on that given play he makes the most sense. And some cases it's going to be safety, some cases it's going to be up by the line of scrimmage, some cases it's going to be rushing off the edge. I think like he'll come in as a safety, but really he's a defensive playmaker.
I like that. And I think, when hearing you speak about it and, watching this kid, I think the spotlight gets put on Coach Blake Baker, because it's going to be up to him. A lot of people, they talk about Isaiah Simmons when you talk about James Williams. And I think that's recency bias, because we just seen what Isaiah Simmons was able to do, line up at different positions. He was, the size, the speed, all that good stuff. But my thing is, you got to give Brett Venables credit for putting him in those positions.
Right.
And now the spotlight's on Coach Blake Baker. Will you be creative enough to develop this kid and use his talents to help out this defense?
Right, for sure. And like a guy like Isaiah Simmons, he was just a kind of like a regular guy. He wasn't always Isaiah Simmons, like this standout, versatile, could play anywhere guy. He was like an okay safety, like a good safety, but a guy who was just kind of going through his career being a good safety. But he was so big that they said, let's just try moving him up to like, and I'm doing air quotes, like linebacker, and seeing what happens when we get him closer to the line of scrimmage. And the closer he got to the line of scrimmage, the more plays he was involved in. I think the more comfortable he got, and he turned into this phenom. But it's not, like you said, recency bias. It's not the first guy to do that. Like even like a Patrick Chung played kind of like a rover when he was at Oregon. Mark Barron was a safety at Alabama, but he always played up near the line of scrimmage. Ended up being a linebacker in the league. There's been guys like that. It's just a matter of teams not really being able to figure out the best spot for them necessarily. Even like an Alec Ogletree at Georgia, who ended up being like a middle linebacker in the NFL, like figuring out the best situation. And so, like you said with Baker, it's easy to do because he's so talented, but it's hard to do because you don't want to mess it up, and you only have probably 3 years to figure out how to get the most out of him. So you don't want to waste any time, like pretty much like we did with Ray Armstrong. We had this supreme athlete and this like freakish size, and he never really became what we expected.
All right, guys, we got Chris with Kane's legacy and Kane's insight.